Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here, for spending this afternoon with us at Immigrant Techstars Edmonton. We are really happy to host this event during Edmonton Startup Week. We are happy to feature a community event with Edmonton Startup. And even though I live in Calgary, I'm a great fan of Edmonton Startup Week. I made a lot of connections at the same event that happened in 2020. In fact, that was where I had my initial tech base, so to say. Most of the people that came alongside with me in this exploration of the tech space were initially from Edmonton before I found my Calgary people. So very happy to associate with Edmonton Startup Week. And of course, this is Immigrant Tech is Alberta, so it's Alberta wide. And a little bit about Immigrant Techies. We are a meetup group, essentially a community that helps tech enthusiasts really that are of immigrant origin. And the reason we have that is to create this safe space, because we know when you're new in a place, there's already so much going for you already. And then to be able to find a community that is career oriented, especially in the tech space, which sometimes has an airlight feeling to it. Sometimes it's hard for people to see themselves in the space. It's hard for people to attend their first tech event because they're not sure if they will feel like they belong and everything. So the purpose of this community is to be that first stop. So you're exploring tech, or you're already in tech, you just got into a new country, you're trying to find your way, you want to navigate, you have questions, you're afraid somebody might call them dumb. This is the place for you. We all ask dumb questions. So, so this is a place where you can just relax and just ask your questions and make connections. So today we're having another very casual session, and we have with me, I'm just going to make you co-host, Abby. So here we have Shelvie, co-founder of Fly and Tech, and Abby, co-founder of Clavis Studio. Now they're going to tell us a lot about themselves. I won't go too much deep into their introduction, but these are inspiring people. These are women who have asked the questions, why not? Who have thought, why can't we solve this problem? Why can't we do this? Who have won awards doing just that. And we are so privileged to have them here with us. So I'm going to spotlight both of you right now, because this show is about you and not me. And so this is an Ask Me Anything session. So please, everybody, put your questions in the chat or mute yourself. I don't want to be the person asking all the questions. So please feel free to ask your questions. Okay, so let's start with you, Shelvie. Tell us a bit about yourself and how did you get to become, a little bit about how the idea of becoming a startup founder came about. Knowing a little bit I know about you is you came to Canada as a student. So how did you go from there to becoming this very successful founder?
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm Shelvie. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fly and Fetch, not Fly and Tech, but yeah, it's Fly and Fetch. We are a shipping company, so our story is rooted towards the immigrant journey, actually, and that's actually inspired me to create Fly and Fetch. So I moved from the Philippines 9 years ago, and I landed here with my family, and I've noticed that shipping packages, and probably all of you know that shipping packages internationally is expensive, slow, and oftentimes very unreliable. Sometimes you don't know if it's going to arrive there all at once. And so as immigrants, we use this, we do this in my culture, Filipino culture, is that we just look for friends and family sending packages, and we use those, like we just ask them. And like, if I'm going home, friends would ask me like, hey, Shelves, can you bring this packages? And so that's the opportunity and gap in the market that we saw, and we created Fly and Fetch. And Fly and Fetch is a shipping company. We have a tech empowered platform and a logistics solution. And so the logistics solution is that we're FedEx, but instead of having air cargo or our planes or all of that, we have people traveling. So we give people free flights, and then we take ownership of their luggage space, and then we sell that capacity to our senders. And with that, we are 80% cheaper than expedited shipping, and we're 2 times faster. So we are the fastest international shipping provider out there. Right now we're starting providing it to and from the Philippines, and we're also doing all over Canada shipments right now. So very fast shipping. Yeah, I started, like, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I think that throughout my life my parents has pushed me to do things that I didn't like I did engineering, I did school, like travel management, to be a flight stewardess or anything. But all through the time that I was doing that, I also had side hustles. So I would always like sell, like I was importing things, and I really enjoyed that. Like I wasn't in it for the money. I was in it for like making customers happy and creating products. And yeah, and I think that really, when I went to business school at NAID, and I really loved it. I'm like, oh, this is my thing. And so that just sort of like made me tell myself, like, I want to be a business owner. I don't know what it was, but when the idea came in, I just like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, wow, that's so inspiring, Shelvie. I'm sure there are a lot of questions that'll come out of that, but let's have Abby, are you there? Okay, while we wait for Abby.
Oh, she's
okay,
there, but
she's here.
Sorry, I can go next.
Sure.
I went to grab a cup of water. Is it my turn?
Yes, it
okay.
is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine's not as glamorous as Shelvie, so you're gonna have to pardon me.
I'm sure it is.
My name is Abby Aiyeleye. Abby is short for Abimbola. So I think a lot of people, I think I saw my namesake here on the call. So hello. I'm the co-founder of Clavis Studio, and I think my story is kind of similar to Shelvie's. Been an entrepreneur since college, I think, or university, where there was a time there was a Chloe bag that was raining, and I could get it and sell it at double the price. So started with that in university, and then over time, I would find items or products or services that were kind of niche and very hard to source, and I would be the person that people would go to get it. So before moving to Canada, and I've only been in Canada less than 10 years too. Before moving to Canada, I had a lingerie business that was especially for well-endowed women, because that was, that was the group of women that were usually typically ignored when you're designing or building for their space. And that was it was great. I met a lot of people, heard a lot of things, took a lot of feedback, and kind of evolved it a little bit into understanding your body and your shape and things like that. So when we moved to Canada, my husband and I, we moved with a big belly, and I started working, and then we examined the interior design space and saw that there was a lack of, there was almost complete reliance on somebody else to help you figure out what you needed in your own space. And that matters to me because when you're done designing for someone, that person's going to have to live there forever. So they better love what you've done for them. Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board. And usually you would ask someone to build for you or to design for you, and then you do it. And then you realize, I actually don't like the look and feel. So one of the things that we started exploring was, how do we get you as a homeowner to design your space love it before you actually commit to buying anything. Because usually you would have bought everything first and then you realize you don't actually like it. So last 2019 to actually it was end of 2019. So technically 2020, we spent building a 3D space that allowed you, or software that allowed you to be able to have a dollhouse view of your home and designed with real shoppable furniture. So we collaborated with vendors like Crate and Barrel and Wayfair and, you know, the typical retailers in that space. And you would design with those furniture. If you like what you see, because you did it yourself or because someone helped you, your interior designer helped you, then you could commit to buying what's on that list. You know for sure that when it comes home, it's exactly as you imagined it and there's no surprises. So we launched last year, end of Q1 last year, beginning of Q2, and almost immediately interior designers started to say this would actually be really useful for me, for my business, because I helped my client design their space using your tool. So then we started to pivot into B2B. And B2B really was us now opening up our platform for other interior designers to be able to use our platform for their design work, as well as any of the other administrative burden you would get with running your own business. So we typically call it an empowerment platform because it allows you to start your business faster and to have all of the tools that you need, all the basic tools that you need to run your business. This is very new for us. This is not our industry. But my background is in business administration, degrees in it, project management, business process management, user experience design, everything around the space that allows you to plan better and to design better and design with the user in mind. So I think typically tech people or people who are design focused would design based on their perspective without thinking about the person that is going to use it at the end. So that's me.
Wow.
And
yeah,
my husband is my co-founder, so it's a family business. So
exactly. I know Abby's husband too. He's one of the very inspiring leaders in Alberta Tech as well.
Well, I'll tell him you said that. And that's where we're at. So we're hoping to grow, get more interior designers on the platform, get more retailers, get local businesses to, bring their own brands. We brought on a Montreal-based clock maker, like pretty awesome wall clocks he makes with real wood and things like that. So we're trying to bring on more people and just facilitate conversation, facilitate business on the platform.
Right. So as Immigrant founders, were there challenges you guys faced that were unique to your journey because you're newcomers in this process of right from where you got the idea, trying to get support, funding? Would you say there were specific challenges that you faced because this is not where you grew up? Shelvie?
Yeah, of course. I think there's always an advantage of being here or being born and raised in a country and building your business. And I think number one of that is network. And it like networking is very important. I think that I'm a people person, so it's easy for me to just like talk to people and have that, but I have to do a lot of work to sort of like build that in me. And that's important for building a business, is that if you have that network of people mentoring you, telling you what to do, or even like hiring people. And it also comes into place when you're fundraising. You have, like if you're here, if you built that network, then you already know like a lot of people who are able to invest in your company or talk on behalf of you, that knows a lot of people that might be. And so that's I think that to start with, that was a little bit of a challenge, because you come here as an immigrant and you start from scratch. Like I didn't have any friends in Canada. I only have my family, and I have to really find the people and build my network from scratch. And I think that that was one of the challenge. The second would be, I guess, like there's always that like language barrier, like the slangs and all of that. But that's which is very common for immigrants, is that the language is always something that we have to get over, or like the like people not understanding us or us not understanding them well. That's also one thing. How about you, Abby?
Yeah, I mean, it's especially interesting
Absolutely.
when you actually speak the language, but then you don't speak the slang, right?
Exactly.
No,
So-
she's right.
Exactly, because you think you know English, and then for us, I am from Nigerian origin, right? So we were trained with the British English, right? And some of the terms are so different. So you hear terminologies and you're like, I thought I knew English. I don't know what that means. So especially if you are in a group of youth, like young people, high school, you could just get lost in that conversation. Yeah, Abby, you're gonna say something.
No, exactly what Shelvie said. There is so much emphasis on social capital that you don't even know how rich you are just growing up here. I and I spent a lot of time volunteering to build our network, kind of like what Shelvie said. You need to build your network. And we still every day try to talk to someone about our business. We try to say what we're doing, because they might know someone who knows someone who knows someone who might be, who might be beneficial to us, or vice versa. And it takes, I don't, so it's the cultural thing a little bit. It's also the other things you need to pay attention to too, because you have home, you have the family, and then you have other things, and now you have to pay attention to your networking and where to go, and there's a history of a school that you're not aware of, and something happened 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and you're like, oh, okay, that didn't exist a few years ago. So it's all of those things, those tiny little nuances that make a huge difference for you. And almost sometimes you almost feel like you need to catch up. You're running all the time, trying to catch up with everything that's going on.
And would you guys say the Alberta tech ecosystem has provided us support that's lacking because of not having your own organic network here? Is this a good place to do business? Should we bring in more immigrants who want to start businesses?
Absolutely. What? Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The more the merrier, right?
I think
what kind of support have you got? I know, Abby, I know you're a member of the A100, and how has that helped you in your journey?
I was actually with Abby in the A100 event.
Oh, you too.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
You were totally networking.
We just had a nice networking session.
That was really good.
Awesome. I mean, maybe you should tell us a little bit what that means, actually, because here we don't assume anybody knows any term. So what's the A100 and how has that helped?
Okay. Do you want to go, Shelvie?
Sure. Well, so A100, it's built like maybe less than 10 years ago by successful startup founders in Alberta, and they want to give back to the community. And so they created A100 to sort of like have this sort of like a group that would help future entrepreneurs with their journey, maybe mentor, maybe have a little bit of support. And they have events every year called Accelerate AB, and they have roundtable as well, which me and Abby also was there just to like participate. And we had like mentors from like really like like principal, like partners from VCs or like people who have like rich experience in the industry that we're in, and was able to give us mentorship for 2 hours, which is like pretty precious for both of us. And so they have a membership, and it works as like if someone recommends you or nominate you, then that's the only way you can get into A100, and it needs to be a member. So there's 2 tiers there. So there's the actual A100 member, which is from the the people who exited, and then there's an associate member, which me and Abby are part, and we are sort of like those new startup founders that they adopted or that was part of the group, and we get to sort of like go to events like social gathering or like some evening I don't know, a lot. That's my first event that I've been to like A100, but they do have a lot of this where you will get to like network or build relationships with those people. So it's such an honor for me to be part of that group. Every person that I met there is amazing. So I'm happy I'm thankful for whoever nominated me to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the people we've met there, they are people who can either open doors for us or know people who can open doors for us. And I think I like what Tamara, the executive director, said about just bringing us associate members on board. It's, you know, to make sure that there's no knowledge gap for the next generation, and then people within the community as well, they're aware of what's going on. Because I think as your business grows and, you know, you're maybe far up there, you don't know what's happening down here, it's a way for you to stay connected.
I mean, and that's just one of many resources we have in Alberta catering to tech founders. We have Startup TNT, Platform Calgary, Plug and Play, like a lot of them. So this is just another plug for this is the place to do business, you know, campaign.
You mentioned only Calgary organizations.
I just said Startup TNT is not just Calgary though.
Yeah, but you didn't mention specific Edmonton organizations.
Please,
like
please
Edmonton
enlighten us. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
yeah.
Edmonton Unlimited, please, guys.
Which is a condensation of many amazing organizations that came together, right? So startup, it used to be Innovate Edmonton and Startup Edmonton, and I think, okay, you tell us more.
So Edmonton Unlimited, it used to be Innovate Edmonton. They are sort of like the mothership of Startup Edmonton, Accelerate Edmonton, and I think they have the Catalyzer, which is the accelerator for very, very early stage startup founders. But I just want to add to that, like, I mean, as I've said, we started as students. There's also a lot of like smaller entrepreneurship centers for every student out there in their own schools, and we really tap into that, and they were able to bring us to a lot of resources all over Alberta. There's also Rainforest that I used to go to every single lunch third time on Wednesday, which like also helped me be connected with the people around. So they're like, I mean, I think that if you know people and you just ask for help, many people will like connect you with a bunch of other people in the community. And I think that's the best thing about it is like, whether you're from Edmonton or Calgary, like you just like, oh yeah, I know Abby from here, or I know Wendy from here, and we just like work at like that. And I think that's a really good, cool culture to have. Is I know that my community has my back, and whatever I need, they have like there's someone that I can go to, and as a founder who's been through there, I'm like, yeah, anything, like I'm gonna help you guys, whatever. If there's something that I can help you with, I would. Or there's a piece of information that I can give you to help you with a certain thing that you're going through, then I would help you out, because it's just that how the community works. It's pretty awesome.
It is. There's a lot of support. Emilian, I think you raised your hand earlier. Am I right? Sorry if did I say the name correctly?
No, it's okay. Thank you so much, ladies. You are doing a fantastic job, and it's so great, you know, sharing your story, your journey. This gives more hope and more boost to many of us. So yeah, my name is Emilian Adetoun. I'm also a founder of a business named African Immigrant Mediation and Restorative Justice Initiative Incorporation, because basically I'm a professional bilingual, so English and French, mediator and translator. So my question is just trying to get like one of your experience talking about clientele. So as immigrant, you certainly, when you started your business, you mostly focus your community. I don't know, but it looks like this is where we most of us start. So now I'm just being curious, how were you able to pivot from, you know, that community-based clientele to certainly, you know, try to to get it, like to try to enlarge it, to go beyond your community. And yes, how did that happen? What was the trigger? And this is something that a lot of us really struggle with within communities. Thank you and good job.
Do you want to go, Abby, or?
I can go. I can start. So Clavis is an interesting organization in that we definitely started with telling friends and family, and a lot of them were in our community, and a lot of them would refer people to us. But it was interesting. It's interesting in that one of our friends, first business outside of the community was referred by a friend inside of the community. Someone had posted on Facebook that they were looking for some help with design work, and she went in there and typed all these wonderful things about us that a marketing person would totally borrow from. And that's just one of the, that was the first venture outside of the community for us. And you'll find that a lot of the people within your community do have, that six people know six people who know six people, that effect. And, that helps you spread, it helps you spread your business further. And then volunteering I think I volunteer with like 4 organizations right now. All of those organizations are outside of my community. One of them is within the community, and then everyone else is outside. And that's where I meet other people. That's where I'm always talking about Clavis. And that really helps us to build, that top of mind awareness about what we do.
Great. So for me, I think it really starts with the mindset, knowing that diversity is power. And it's weird because my organization, there's 11 of us, and our minority is actually like the local Canadians are minority in our team, because there's like so much like different immigrant, like different people. But I know for sure that having different clienteles or different people using my platform, it's more powerful as well. But it really depends if it's in your team, if it's attracting people that is outside of your community as part of your team. I think that's completely necessary, because again, it's more of like diversity brings in different minds, different perspective, different skill sets that could be really good with your company for customers or growth. I think that's a completely business decision. And so just because I'm targeting Filipino immigrants doesn't mean I don't want to target other people, or I don't want to go beyond, or doesn't mean that my company is limited to that. It's just that strategically, that's my strategy. And I think that's what's best for my company. And so it needs to be a balance between, do I really need to go beyond? And if that's the time that you go beyond, then I think it's definitely more of like a business decision and a business strategy, more of like something that you go above, like more of like just like making sure that you just want it. But yeah, like if you're in that phase, then I think that it really, as I've said, what is it that, who are you targeting, and the best way, the answers varies.
And I'll refer to a lady I met recently at a program that I facilitate a little bit. She sells ladies outfits. They're made with African print. And what immediately came to her mind was, my clients are of African descent, and they have kids. I'm like, but you sell clothes. So, who wears clothes? Who wears women's clothes? Who wants to see themselves in those clothes? So if you want to model to a specific group of people, do you want a model that looks like that group of people, or do you want someone to champion you outside of what you're comfortable with? And even how you advertise, even how you put yourself out there, what kind of posts you put up on social media, what kind of tags that you have, what kind of events you attend to have your products on display. That helps you put yourself out there a little bit more too.
Right. And speaking about that, Shelvie, so does scaling for Fly and Fetch mean focusing on a different country part-time? Like, I'm just wondering, like right now, the strategy is to start with the Philippines where you already have a network, I suppose. So would that be what scaling means for you, that you start looking at other countries that have,
Yeah, so scaling for us is right now we're actually scaling on local e-commerce stores in Canada because we're doing intercity shipping. So we're basically providing the Amazon type of shipping within Canada, so across Canada. So imagine sending a package to Toronto and it arrives in a few hours. That's what we're able to do, and so that's us scaling in sort of like a smaller scale. We really want to start sort of like the Filipino market is the warmest market because I'm Filipino and I'm very well connected, and it allows us to do a lot of experiments, build our platform, build our processes in a way that it's now scalable and we can just copy what we have and just do that in different markets. But we want to be in Canada since this is, it's parallel to what we have, but we have been preparing for Pakistan, India, Brazil, a lot of African countries also want us, Vietnam. So there's definitely a lot of like countries that wants our platform there. And so it's a matter of just making sure that we're ready for that expansion because it's a bit expensive. As I've said, like it's network is really good. Social capital is great. And that's why Filipino works for me because I have a lot of network there. And so once you build that to a different country, it all changes because you don't that's not your community and you have to build that rapport. And so that's just our strategy is just to do well on one market, copy paste and everywhere.
So in this community, this immigrant techies, there are a lot of people who are career pivoters who are pivoting into tech or trying to find their way. And for us immigrants, we typically come into the country with a mindset of, I'm going to look for a good job. I want to settle. I just want something that's secure. So what do you say to an average, to that? What do you speak to that mentality of, all I want is a job? What are the opportunities there if we allow ourselves to think beyond getting a job, but actually creating solutions like you guys have done? So what do you think are the things holding us back? How can we get over that? What are sell it to us, encourage us to become founders instead of just looking for jobs. And I do know, I'm not sure about, okay, tell us also about when did you have to leave your job? At what point did it become something you had to focus on? And if you haven't done that, tell us too. So how do we navigate building a career versus creating a solution in form of a startup? Abby, you want to go first?
Yeah. I can start. I came as one of the people who Wumi is talking about. So, so I think I'll start with maybe the mindset at first. So I know lots of people who would say, in my industry, I can do this immediately I get here. I will not discount understanding the culture a little bit more. Those slangs mean something. And typically where you would learn that is when you get your first job. And I'm not saying a survival job because I cannot stand that word, survival job, but an actual job in your but an actual job in your industry or close to your industry. And I only say that because we really need to know what we don't know. You cannot come with the assumption that we all speak English. It's the same thing. It's close to America. The culture must be the same. There are nuances there. How long you spend on that job now is the big thing. There is a mindset of, I'm going to run a business, but I'm going to learn what the culture is here. I can either learn it by volunteering to know what the culture is, or by working to know what the culture is. Whatever method you choose works. But know that if you start a business today, everybody's on ground to help you. I tell you, I've help from the city, I've help from the province, I've help from the federal government, I've help from people at the A100, I've help from organizations just looking to lean in and help, especially women in business to be successful. So don't discount, understand the culture a little bit. Don't spend too long understanding the culture. And when you're ready to start your business, the biggest thing I would say is start small. It doesn't matter if you're just doing it as a consultant, just start small first.
Great, amazing.
Great wisdom here, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I just want to say that there's different types of people. There's people that me and Abby that really enjoys what we're doing as startup founders, but it is very, very stressful. And so don't discredit your work. If you're very happy with it and you think you're being treated fairly, then go with it and find your way a goal of like what is it, what is your end goal looking like. For me, when I talk to myself and I said who do I want to be, especially when I was going through school, it's like I want to be a CEO, and that's what I put my brain into, and that's what I've become, because I've just been focused on like becoming that. And it's because since I've always wanted it, I'm actually pretty happy of like where I am. And if I am to sell being a startup founder right now, I have traveled the world with like my company. I've been, like for being in 500 Global, like they sent us to San Francisco to experience it, and they gave us like not just like learning, but we did like a cruise, boat cruise, and under the bridge, and we had Napa wine tour, and those are like opportunities where you can build relationship, but also those are so fun. And there are so many things. Like I've been to a private jet with a billionaire, and it was just an email that we sent. It's like, hey, can you give us a ride to Texas? And he was like, okay. And those are opportunities that I only got because I'm a startup founder. And I think that as much as people say that it's actually a very hard life, it is, but I've seen the good opportunities of being in a founder, and it's very personal. It's like, how do you make sure that you experience that really well, because it's going to be a really, really hard life. It is, but then it's a high reward. Like think about the millions that you get once you exit, as well as like even right now, like I meet like very, very cool people, just like someone who's really good at AI or like creating robots, and just like meeting amazing people is just really one thing that I enjoy being a startup founder. Is like, oh my God, like there's like this metaverse or this like robot or someone creating like a spaceship that's like you just watch in movies, but you're actually talking to the person. And that's something that I have experienced as a startup founder. And I think that that's one thing that you will experience if you're into that. And me and Abby, like being part of A100, like you actually meet people that like built into it, or like people that are like OGs in like the community. And I don't think if you're an employee somewhere, you would have that opportunity to actually talk to those people.
Yeah. And before I go to your question, I mean, what are the downsides? What are the stuff you wish you knew before you got into this journey that, oh, I wish I knew that earlier. I would have maybe prepared myself or used a different strategy. So what are the things to watch out for before you embark on a journey as a founder?
I think for me, I think that every journey is different. I think that get a good lawyer, a really, really good lawyer. And also make sure that you get coaching as much as you can, because there's always a lot of things that you don't know. Like maybe you think I know a lot of things right now, but there's still a lot of things that I don't know, and I still keep learning every day. And I learn it from people that already been there. And I think that that's like one thing that you probably will there's always going to be a problem. It's like, oh, I have this problem, and then and then I solved that problem, and oh, there's another problem. It's always like that. Yeah, so that's like probably the challenge, is like there's just a lot of challenges, and you need to have the stamina to be able to like solve them one at a time after the other.
I think for me to be, don't boil the ocean. So this is why I said, start small, because I think we had with Clavis, we had the Clavis, and then we had like an app that we were going to make into a fulfillment. It was going to be an app that helped fulfill orders on Clavis, and starting the two at the same time was tedious. So we kind of had to deprioritize that app and focus more on Clavis and just try to get the results we're looking for before tacking on something else. And I think that's why I think I mentioned it earlier that, start small, start with consultants, start with, doing it manually. You might feel like you immediately want to do something elaborate. Don't. Build a small app, build a small website to see and test what and test your product market fit. Again, with the lawyer, absolutely, you need a good lawyer. And I think just be willing to talk about your business a lot. I understand that a lot of people would say they don't want to share too much because of, because someone's going to steal it. No one's going to steal it. If you share, people will suggest things, people will help you fine tune your idea better. And what sets you apart as a business owner is really your execution, is how much time you spend on it. It's the passion you have for it that will, that anyone who steals your idea will probably not have. So start small, start really small so that you don't, burn out after a few months and you're looking for a vacation trip as soon as possible.
I actually want to add something that you reminded me of. Being a startup founder, a lot of people will say no to you. Like a lot.
Oh my God, yes.
A lot. Like it's crazy. And like some of them have like crazy comments about like how this would not work, or like they would never use it. Like all, some of them are plainly dumb comments. Like just treat them as like, you know your market. And there will always be no's, but sometimes there are learnings. Sometimes there are opportunities for you to improve. But at the end of the day, it's like more of like that, how strong am I? How much do I believe in this idea? And going outside of that, especially when you're fundraising or trying to prove to people that, this will work, you will get a lot of no's, and it's just part of life. And it's hard, but it's just like, well, I'm just gonna keep going after I'm just going to next meeting. And then one day you get like a lot of people. So
and how do you balance that, being coachable and believing in your dream? Because I've sat in so many investor meetings, and one of the things they talk about a lot, what they're looking for in their founders, is someone that can be coached, that will actually listen and accept direction. So how do you balance between someone that's just pooping on your idea and someone that's actually trying to just get you out of a crunch that you don't see at the moment?
Okay, I will say this, and I think Shelvie will probably have more to share on this, but before anything, I will say this. A lot of people think they're coaching you, but they're telling you what to do. A great coach will help guide your decision, help guide your thoughts, like, the scatterbrain that you might have. They will help you put it together for you to make a decision. So if you find people saying, oh, they're not coachable, we need to, figure out exactly what they mean. Are you saying they're not coachable because they're not doing what you suggested? Exactly. Because that's one big thing. I had a coach, Patricia. She was awesome. I felt like I was talking a lot, but not really. She was helping me guide myself on the decisions to make, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's very hard. I think that's more of like a personal decision whether you're going to listen to one or not. But I think that like you have to weigh the situation. I have trusted coaches, so I have mentors and advisors that I always go to, and I trust them. And sometimes I don't agree to what they do, but most of the time I know that their intentions are great. And if you go and like have various different coaches and you don't really know, like you get like tons of different feedbacks, then that's up to you to decide what really is best for your company. Again, as I've said, your company, right? But what I said when I said no and like don't believe them is when, someone literally is targeting you or telling you like, oh, you can't do this, or this is not possible or anything. That's when you say no, like I'm gonna be trying to like improve it based on your feedback, but you can't tell me I can't do it. And so those are the no's that I think you should be like, okay, that's fine, like, I'm gonna do better. Like I've had an investor meeting where like this person was like literally told me like, okay, like I think you're not coachable. Actually this one is like, yeah, like I feel like whenever I give you feedback, and this I was like, yeah, you know what, Abby, he was telling me to do things. But you know what? His feedback was actually really good. So I listened to it, and I actually got such good result from like listening to his feedback. And like it's just about like what you do with like what people tell you is what's important.
And there's also the part where you have to be careful as a founder that you're not married to your solution. Rather, you have to fall in love with the problem, because when you found it, it's like a baby. You want to you want to protect it, you already have a vision for it. But then some things happen in the environment, in the economy, and you are forced to pivot it, to change it. So there's also that space, that kind of mindset for anybody in the tech space. You want to be a founder in the tech space, you have to understand how to detach yourself as the person from your venture. Because if something happens in the market and you have to change things, it doesn't mean you have failed. It just means you have to change your strategy. I mean, Shelvie, I know Fly and Fetch experienced some hiccups during the pandemic. And how did you get out of that?
Yeah, so I went through this accelerator in the Valley. It's called Draper University, and they made us say an oath. And one part of that oath, it says, "I will fail and fail and fail again until I succeed." And it makes sense. Like, not testing things and failing things is normal. We've done that. We have so much pivots as much as we can. Like when pandemic hit, we were like, we're not making money, or we're not like doing this. So we pivot. We like literally fearlessly just like remove, like basically let go of our platform, build a new one, created a new thing, and it worked so much better. We didn't really wait. We're like, no, we're gonna do this. This is gonna work. Let's do that. And I feel like, as you said, it's more like listening to your customers. That's really number one. What does your customer want? My CTO wants different thing. I want different thing. My other co-founder wants different thing. But then at the end of the day, we're like, what does our customer want? What does our customer need? What is selling? What is making me money? What is it that they give 5-star rating to? And that's what we hold on. And I think that if you're building something, that's what you do. If you're not making money, or if people does not want it, or it's not selling, then even if you love what you build, it's not gonna work. It's not what it's supposed to do. So yeah, I think that's usually what we do, is like just listen to customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Abby, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was not emphatically there because I'm like, she's saying everything. It is the customer. And, you know, when you have a coach, you hear what they're saying and you understand the context behind what they're saying. It helps to make that decision on whether it's a great idea for the business, or whether you don't want to say no, you just don't want to apply that suggestion just yet. You want to follow this path for a little bit to see where you get to before you veer off to another path.
Yeah. I mean, you had a question that's like essentially everything we've been talking about. So I want to believe you've been picking some of the stuff. If there's any, if you have a specific question that has not been touched on, you can just unmute yourself and ask. Yeah. Is there anyone else that has their hands raised or something? Because I can't see everybody. I'm not seeing the gallery. No.
Good question. Use a co-working space. There's lots. There's Work Nicer. There's MRSA Building. There's what's that one in the West? Oh, there's one in the West. There's about, just Google co-working spaces. Creative Hive, yeah. They will charge you a small fee to receive your mail at their address, and there you go. And I think Amit's question, were you asking about like the process that we went through? Because for me, I'm a process person, so I literally wrote the process first, and then wrote the user specification document.
Maybe I can just add a little bit more context. And good to meet both of you, Shelvie and Abby, and me. So I was just intrigued about, and I've been reading up on product management lately, and that ties into entrepreneurship. I was a bit intrigued about when you have an idea, hey, I want to do this, but it's just a fanciful idea in your mind, wishful thinking. But how do you go about, and how did you, in your case, went about maybe doing an MVP and testing product market fit, that really this is what the market needs? What was that metric? How did you go around that? I did hear about building a small website, something along those lines, but when you validated that on a small scale on the MVP, how did you scale it up? and how did you measure that and rinse and repeat, iterated your product based on that or your service based on that? I was just intrigued about that, and that potentially could tie into the process, Abby.
Oh, so my suggestion is for you to go join the no, not the Propel. There's like some classes that Startup Edmonton does it. It's not Propel. What is it called? The smaller ones. It's
The one before Propel.
yes, there's 3 of them. And so I am actually very fortunate because my degree in NATE is entrepreneurship and innovation. So I learned this before I went through my startup journey. But once you have an idea, you have to create, we call it the business model canvas. And it basically makes you put a lot of ideas, like the sky's the limit, just put a lot of ideas. And then there's a process of like how you sort of like start removing things and sort of like changing things until you come up with like, what is it that you want? But at the end of it, you have to make sure that you know what your product is, the value proposition, who your customer, who you're targeting, and what is the channels that you're doing. And then the next step for that is like you go out of the, they call it go out of the building and talk to people and ask them a lot of questions about your, like what you're building. And then you get like ideas from them, and then you go back to your business model canvas and sort of like use that to change it. And it's that actual process until you're like, okay, I'm ready. Then you build a very low code, like I would just buy a domain and use Google Forms to start. Like that's how we made like our first maybe 10 grand of revenue is like to Google Forms, because you can't build the platform yourself. Yeah, so that's like my basic thing is like Abby always says this, start small. And yeah, like you don't have to spend a lot of money on things. And there's a lot of like resources out there. There's a lot of website that offers all of this for free for startups. And so you can just like get those and get started. There's really no excuse for you not to start it. Or like money is not a problem. It's all about determination and just like following the process.
You can use a strategizer, Canvanizer, I think. So these are very good tools, and they are free versions as well. So many resources out there. Okay.
Yes, Emily, I did all of those. I don't know if Abby did, but I did all of, because I had my degrees. It's part of.
Yeah, I mean, even for founding this community, Immigrant Tech is Alberta, I went through all of that, even though it's not a business per se, but it's a product and there's a market. So I had to go through all of those steps for what's the target, was a value proposition. So yeah, even for ideas that are not necessarily revenue generating, as long as you're building something for some people, you can always test the market using these tools. Yeah, Business Link has resources. There's so many.
Y Combinator offers a free startup school as well. So there's a lot of free stuff out there.
Yeah, did I miss any question in the chat? I think I see comments. I'm not sure if I missed a question.
How do you register? Oh yeah, that's already answered.
Yeah.
Business without actually you could also use Canada Post. Like they just like drop it off at the post office. I forgot what it's called.
And something I wanted to add on. So even if you're here and you're thinking, I don't necessarily want to start a company, but how do you use the mindset of an entrepreneur inside an organization? Like there's a lot to be said for being an entrepreneur, right? So these things they don't necessarily mean you have a venture of your own to start right now, but you guys, Abby and Shelvie, you run companies. What value is it to you that people you employ have an entrepreneurial mindset?
Great question. It's an interesting perspective. So inside the organization, I think it's so for people who are content with their jobs, they love what they do. One thing I would say is think about the end goal. So the goal for the organization. I know every organization will have a goal for the year or a strategy that they're trying to achieve. Think about how your role plays a key So your role plays a key role in how your organization achieves their objectives. I think as an employee, I've been in that space. We tend to think about our jobs, but not necessarily beyond what we do and how it rolls up to the organization. So think about how your job is important for the business. It is. If you wasn't, you wouldn't be there. And think about how you can make a difference in just how you help the organization grow. And if you feel like what you're doing doesn't bring out the best in you, say something. I have an employee who's an awesome 3D modeler, but she's also pretty awesome at designing. So every once in a while, we get her to do a design job and she loves it. It makes her feel a little bit more fulfilled on the role. So if you have more to offer, say something and take a little bit more time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Great question. So as I've said, I have entrepreneurship degree. So that, so being an entrepreneur inside an organization is called intrapreneur. And actually, Nate is offering a new course in their entrepreneurship course. Shameless plug. But if you're interested, so I think for me, as a startup, I have a lot of employees, and what I really like, I usually just give them a goal and I sort of like help them figure it out, because most of the time I don't really know how to do roles. Like it's like so new, but it's like, okay, hey, this is like what I like, this is like what I want you to do, and this is the goal. How are you gonna get there? And the entrepreneurs inside my organization that I love is like when they go outside of the box and get like the goal, they understand the goal and they go outside of the box. I don't have to tell them exactly what to do, but they're able to create something different. And I really like that. And another thing is that someone who goes above and beyond to make sure that they're more efficient and that they're actually saving time of like creating things, not just like, okay, I need to do this, but it's taking me 8 hours to do. But you know what, I'm just going to create a system that would make it, 4 hours or half it, someone like that, because I'm like, as like a leader of an organization, I'm not there every day to like tell them exactly how to do things, but I want them to like figure out a way to be more efficient with their time. I think that's what an entrepreneur is. I think it's still goes back to the part of like, what is the problem and how are we going to solve that better? It's just being a problem solver inside an organization.
Right. And many organizations are going through some form of digital transformation or the other, having innovation projects, creating innovation labs. So they're going to need people who are forward thinking in those organizations. So even if you are not planning to start a company, all this training, this mindset, this challenge is very useful for whatever you're solving for. Again, it's all about creating a solution to solve a particular problem for a particular set of people. That could be in so many different settings, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, wow. This has been great. 1 hour just flew by. Yeah.
So great.
Yes. I think we'll just begin to round up right now. If somebody was asking for contacts, I think LinkedIn would be a great place to find those. If you could quickly, anybody that can quickly just drop your LinkedIn
I'll drop
profile
my
in the chat
LinkedIn.
right now. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Me.
I hope I did not miss anyone's question. Yeah, thank you so much, Shelvie, for being here. Abby, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and
thank you.
Have a great Tuesday.
Thank you very much, everyone. Also,
thanks for me for setting this up.
Follow Fly and Fetch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm just going to plug my company. And also, we're always looking for travelers. So you feel free to
I want to be a traveler.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So you just go, when are you going to send people to Nigeria? Because the flight ticket is quite expensive.
I need someone from Nigeria to help me expand in the market. Maybe one of you can. But yeah, like I think we're testing out Kenya pretty soon too. So we're trying to do some tests and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be.
Thanks for
that would be
setting
so
this
much
up
fun.
for me. This is
Thank you
awesome. It
so
was
much,
great
Fernan.
being here.
Oh, it's my total pleasure. Thank you for coming. The pleasure
And
is
Yeah.
and if there's someone from Calgary watching, like one me or here, we have a demo day on Thursday. It's gonna be in Platform Calgary at 5. Find your link in like on LinkedIn, 500 demo day, and it's gonna be a fun day. I'm gonna be pitching, so I'm hoping you guys will cheer for me. I need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have dropped my own LinkedIn as well. And I think James, did you share the membership link? So if you want to be part of the community and you don't want to miss any of our announcements, please, you can just put your information in that link. Yeah, James just did. All righty. Thank you so much,
Guys,
everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
See you back in Edmonton, Shelvie. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.